Yeah, I can't close it because I forgot they're broken, so I paused the video for no reason. Now I'm gonna have to actually edit stuff for no reason. Or I'll just upload stuff in 2 parts because I'm fucking lazy. But, yeah. I was on a call with one of my oldest friends the other night. I think it was about a week ago now. And he said something, or we both kind of said this, but this is a really interesting conversation that we had that I've been thinking this for a while. But it's different to say it to someone out loud and have that person agree with you and say it back to you than it is just to think it. We were talking about, yeah, we still know each other, we still talk to each other all the time, we still play games with each other, you know, we still talk about new shows and movies together, we still talk about old times together, but it's different. It is. Because, I don't know about your friend group, but there was one spot, me and my friend group always got together, lunch, morning, anytime we hung out with each other, it was there. And that's gone. It is. You can say that nothing has changed all you want, but that's not true. And you know that. Everyone knows that. And maybe change is good. Change is good for some people. It is. Change is good for a lot of things. But change fucking hurts. You know? When you're growing, most people want to get taller, right? So growing is a good thing. You get taller. You get stronger most of the time. But that fucking hurts. So why is that any different mentally? It hurts to realize that all of those things that we had, all those memories that we made, is not going to happen again. It's not. It's not going to be the same. It might be better in the future. You're right. Change ends up being better sometimes. But it goes back to the comfort thing. You know? Oops. No matter how good our life gets in the future, at least personally, I'm always going to look back to the old days and think that's better. I could be the richest guy on the planet with everything I've ever wanted and everything in my life that I could possibly dream of, and I would still look back to high school, middle school, and think, wow, I miss that. Because we created such a comforting thing in our lives. We created such a lifestyle that, yeah, it wasn't the best. You know, we weren't the richest people. Some of us were poor as fuck. We didn't have everything. Some of us had nothing. But we still... And this doesn't go for just the friends I met in high school. This goes for the friends I met in swim, for the friends I met randomly, for everyone I've ever known. The thing that we created, it wasn't just... Obviously, it was a friendship. And that word means so much more to me now that I realize how much actually went into that. And like the time that it took to build that. And again, I'm going back to that conversation I had with my friend the other week, Eli. I'm just going to say his name, but we realized he and I have known each other for 8 years. Or soon to be 8 years, like 7.5 right now, but 8 fucking years. That's a stupid long time. That's an absolutely ridiculous amount of time to know someone. And most of the people in my high school friend group, I've known the same amount of time, maybe like a year or two shorter. Some I met in high school. Some in swim I met even before I met Eli. So there are people I've been friends with for about a fucking decade now. I'm gonna be 19 this year. That doesn't sit right with me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about me, but I can't let go of that stuff. I don't know how people do it. I get how people, no matter how many people I tell about this, most of them are always like, it'll be okay, just let it go, you make more memories. I can't do that. I just can't do it. Maybe I'm afraid. Maybe I'm afraid that I'll forget it. I know I never will, but that's always going to be in the back of my head, you know? It's like elementary school. I remember being in elementary school playing games with my friends thinking, I'm never going to forget this. And now I did. I have forgotten a frightening amount about elementary school that I wish I remembered. And even it's starting to happen in middle school too. Where obviously there's always going to be the big things that I remember. There's going to be the things that we talked about for years that I'm never going to forget. But it's not about that. Everyone has that. Everyone has big moments from their school or from their childhood that they remember. I want to remember as much as I can, because the specialty wasn't in the big moments. The specialty of being a kid was what you did in between. Because people have big moments in their adult life too. But when you're a kid, it's not about getting to the next big moment. It's not about going to a landmark. It's about what you did every day. Time moves slower when you're young, because you're not focused on the test that you have in 2 weeks, or the final that you have in a month, or the job interview that you have to do soon. You're not worried about that. You're not worried about what's happening in a week. You're not worried about what's even happening in 2 days. You're worried about what's happening today and sometimes tomorrow. Obviously, like, there were big landmarks when we were kids, like the first day of school, the first day of middle school or high school, the first day at a new school if you moved, or, even at a lower level, a certain episode of a TV show coming out or a big movie coming out. There were landmarks like that, but that's not something you were thinking about all the time. You were more focused, and we were more focused on just enjoying things as they came and just making every day as fun as it could be. And that's the thing I don't want to lose. That's the thing, more than anything, that fuels your mind in your entire life. That's what makes your life. Your life isn't defined by the big things you do. Your life isn't defined by the things you leave behind. Your life is defined by what you did to get there. And I know I'm kind of getting all weird, pseudo-philosophical, and those fucking 15-year-olds that cry in their Snapchat stories and say the same shit. But it's really what it is. I loved Adventure Time and Ninjago and all those other kids as much as everyone else did as a kid, But none of us were sitting on our couch thinking, oh my god, there's a new episode in 5 days, guys. There's a new episode in 5 days. How am I going to wait for 5 more days? No. You see the commercial for it and you realize, oh, that's coming out on Friday? Okay, cool, I have 5 days. And then you don't think about it until Thursday night. Because you're so busy just enjoying things as they come. And just looking out your window and thinking, that'd be cool if there were a bunch of ninjas done between those houses right now, wouldn't it? Or that'd be cool if that tree grew lions instead of apples. And there were gophers that came out of a little electrical wiring covers. That'd be pretty cool. And that fades. As hard as it is, it does. I remember I used to do that every time I fucking looked out a window when I was a kid. I would think, what if that car was a flying squirrel? A bunch of them. Like 20 flying squirrels stacked on top of each other instead of a car. I don't do that shit anymore. That's weird. It's weird, but it's fucking awesome. That's why kids are so damn happy. Because they can just there's a garbage bag full of clothes in my hallway right now. You know what I would do when I was a kid? I would stack the garbage bags on top of each other, draw a scary face on a piece of paper, tape it to one of the garbage bags, and take one of those big cardboard wrapping paper tubes and smack the shit out of it like it was a sword. I'm not gonna do that shit right now. You just find enjoyment in every little thing there is. In every word of a book, in every frame of a show or a movie, you find something to enjoy. And whether it's school that kills that, or just growing up does something to your head, or just life in general slows that down, it goes away. And it doesn't just have to do with imagination. It has to do with your everyday life. Not just what you think about, but what you experience. I remember, I'm sure this is something other people do, but it sounds weird to say out loud. I remember when I was younger, I used to go get home from school and I would replay conversations in my head of people I talked to because I thought it was funny or because I thought it was interesting. I would do that and it would just add another level of appreciation to that, And landmarks can come from that. The Ellen DeGeneres thing. If you don't know that story, that's definitely going to be a story time that I do later, but it's something that we repeated in our heads and to each other so often that it became this big thing that everyone laughed about every time we even started to say the word. And I would just do that over and over. I would get home from school, I would get home from swim practice, and just replay things that I thought about, or things that people said, or conversations that I had with people, because I thought they were funny, or I thought they were interesting, and that just made me appreciate life that much more. But for whatever reason, maybe getting older makes you more cynical. That's probably true. I don't know how you would even begin to measure that, or begin to prove that, but it's probably true, just thinking about it like an eye test. Like now, I don't like what the fuck I've become. At all. I remember I used to sit in class and think, this isn't my favorite subject, but it'll be cool to learn about this stuff. And now I'm sitting in the college classes thinking, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to be here. Why am I spending money for this? This is awful. I hate this. I don't like that. No one likes being negative, but some people can't help it. And maybe that's what happens when you grow up. You just become more negative because you don't have that same imaginative mindset that you used to, Things just become slower and more dull. You try, like I was saying before with the whole landmarks thing, you try to get life to move fast, but that makes life move slower. And when you're a kid, you try to live life slow, and that makes life go faster. Because the slower you try to live, the more you enjoy things. And the more you enjoy things, the more time you take up thinking about them and just experiencing them, or depending on what it is, just thinking about them or experiencing them in general. So the slower you live, like hypothetically, my computer mouse, right? If I was trying to live slow and just slow down, I would just look at this computer mouse for a while and just look at the design of each little part, play with the fucking wheel a little bit, click it a bunch and see what happens on screen, take the bottom bit apart and see what it's made of or see how it works. And that would take hours. That would make the day go by so much faster because I tried to slow down. And the opposite is true. If you try to move fast, life goes painfully slow. Because when you're trying to get to a certain point, when you're trying to get to a landmark, what do? You try and run out the clock. You try and sleep for as long as you can, because that's basically a fast forward button for your life. You try and just sit on the couch and run out the clock for a day. That makes my life, everyone's life, move just painfully slow. The pace of your life is controlled by how you want it to be, but not in the way that you think it is. People always say, those weird motivation people on Instagram always say, life is what you make of it. In a way, sure, but there are things that you can't ignore in that, There are things you can't control. You cannot control your life. You can't control your own life, you can't control anyone else's life. And you really shouldn't try, because the more you try, the harder it gets. The more you try to control your own life, the more difficult it becomes to live it. And this is not organized at all. Nothing I've said this whole time is organized in any fashion. I'm just saying things as they come to my head. But the more you try to live your life, the more difficult it becomes to actually live your life. The more you try to force your own path in the world and to shove your own goals into your head, the more strenuous every little thing becomes. Because at that point, you're thinking about every little tiny detail of the world. Thinking, okay, does this play into how I want my life to be? No, I won't do it then. I won't do it then. No. And you're just overthinking every little thing. And it'll give you a fucking aneurysm. You'll accidentally end your own fucking life by over-planning your own existence. You can't plan for life. Okay? All of the shit I've said, I could be telling this to an 8-year-old and have them fully understand every word I'm saying. They will still not be prepared for the feeling you get in your fucking chest when you move from being a kid to being an adult. Because at the end of the day, I can tell elementary schoolers anything I want to tell them. I can't make them feel the same as we felt when the last part of our senior year got canceled. Or when we realized that we were never going to sit in that same spot and do that again. I can't make them feel like that. Nobody can, except for just life in general, when it happens to them. You know, I don't know what the fuck the point of me saying any of this is. I'm going to upload this in 2 parts because I don't want to edit anything. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm sad. Everybody is, to some extent. I'm not going to deny that. I miss it. I miss all of it. I do. Again, everybody does, to a certain extent. I'm not afraid to admit that. I miss it a lot. Everything about my life right now is different than it was a year ago. And I hate it. All of it. It's the little things, again. I'm never going to sit down in J-Quad and have Aryan walk up holding his backpack straps like he does and say, "Butty, Butty, hello, Butty," ever again. That was a tiny thing. It happened every day for the last year and a half of our high school lives. But I'm still going to miss it because this is not going to happen. It wasn't like it made me feel special inside, or it wasn't like a big monumental moment. It was just all of the days that were great days, that happened. Granted, all of the days that were bad days, that also happened because he did it every day. But, you know, all of the good memories I have, if I just look over a whole good day, that's part of the start. And that's why I'm going to miss those things so much, because yes, they happen all the time, but they were connected to every good memory I've ever had. Same thing with other people, or with swim, or with any kind of school, any class. You know, whenever I got a bad test score back in that one math class that we will never mention the name of again, whether I was sitting next to Eli or Justin or Ty, and I think I sat next to Bobby for a couple of those times, they would always ask me how I did, and I would say shit, and then they'd make a funny joke, and I wouldn't feel that bad anymore. I'm going to miss that. Because a couple weeks ago, when I got a bad score on my history quiz, Justin wasn't sitting next to me going, "Well, if you were Asian, you'd be smarter." That would have made me feel better. But, you know, I don't sit next to Justin anymore. I didn't even go to the same school as Justin. Even if I was still in high school, we wouldn't go to the same school. Because everything's different. Some parts of it are better, sure. But most parts of it are significantly worse. And I think it's time that I stop pretending that's not true. I think that's what this video was. I think I just need to say a lot of this stuff out loud. You know? Yeah. I need to stop pretending like my life didn't get worse over the past year. It did. Does that make me feel any better inside about it? No, it's still worse. But at least I know that. And maybe now I can try and go back to that childlike mindset of just appreciating the small things that make it a little bit better, you know? And I think that that's what everyone should do. Just try and appreciate every little good thing that comes your way. Because the older you get, the less things come your way like that. That's how it is. It's just how it is. And, you know, I'll end it with this. Not entirely connected, but I'll get somewhere with it, I promise. Nostalgia is like a knife being stabbed right into your gut. But after a few seconds, the knife dissolves and makes you feel like you just ate the biggest bowl of your favorite food in the world. It stings. It stings real fucking bad at first. Because you just got stabbed. But then you remember everything that you connect those memories with. And the way I put this into words, or the way I kind of got this idea is, I started watching Adventure Time again. The Cartoon Network show. And I loved Adventure Time when I was a kid. It was my favorite show for such a long time. And the second I finished watching the first episode, it's been a couple weeks now, and that credit song played. My body fucking melted. Everything from my elementary school years and my early middle school years, and even I think my freshman year in high school, came rushing back to me because of that song alone. And it felt good. Because sometimes it's good just for a second to realize, yeah, your life might fucking suck right now, but it didn't always suck. So that means it won't always suck. It's good to remember good memories like that from the past, because it makes you think that something like that can happen again. And you can't go through life being hopeless. So that's an important thing to try and do. I would encourage you to do that. Whether it's a show you used to watch when you were a kid, or a movie you used to watch all the time that has... I think a song is the strongest part of this. All 3 times that I've experienced this is from songs. One of them, I've talked about it before, it's the Avatar's Love. I don't know how exactly that has made me feel that. I haven't even watched that show for over a year, but Adventure Time, and then the credit song from How to Train Your Dragon, those shits hit deep. And I encourage you to try and find something that hits deep. Hits really deep in your fucking soul. Because yeah, it'll sing pretty bad, maybe for a while, but it'll make you think of good times. And that's what's really important right now, just in general. You know what? And the only thing that I would say don't do is a song from SpongeBob or like a super popular movie, because those songs have been overplayed to shit. So you've probably heard them 80 billion times by now. Granted, SpongeBob still has a bit of nostalgic value, even though it's been overplayed like hell, but it's still there. It is. But there's something like, Adventure Time, How to Train Your Dragon. These are my personal examples, but I can't use anyone else's because I can't feel what anyone else does. These weren't the most popular shows or movies. They were big for a year. Adventure Time was Cartoon Network's main event thing for a while. But it went 8 years. It started when we were 8 years old. So it ended when we were 16. I don't know about you, but during my sophomore and junior year of high school, I wasn't rushing home to watch Adventure Time. And I don't think most people were. So, it did fade because its original target audience grew up. And kind of the same thing with How to Train Your Dragon. That movie was huge for a couple of years, and then when the sequels came out, at the pace that they came out, we had slowly grown out of them. And they didn't become uber popular like SpongeBob did, or like Avatar is becoming now. So their songs weren't extremely overplayed all the time. So once we stopped choosing to watch them, that's the last time we heard them. And I think that's where all of the power comes from, is that credit song from Adventure Time. I hadn't heard that since I was like 13. Same thing with How to Train Your Dragon. The song from the credits of that movie, I hadn't seen since I was like 10. I hadn't heard those in 5 to 8 years of my life that I had just gone without hearing those songs. So when I heard them again, everything came rushing back at once. And it wasn't just the good memories from the time I watched them, but it's, you guys know, it's just like that warm feeling you get in your chest. It's a little different for everybody, but you know what it is. You just think about all the good things that happened before a week ago. And I encourage you to do that. With all the weird ramblings I've gone on in the past fucking 30 minutes now, holy shit. That's the thing that I'm going to leave you with. Try and do that. Try and find something that makes you feel like that, and just feel what I'm talking about, because you'll understand it just a little bit better, I think. So, everything I said at the beginning, I'm not going to repeat it, but it still stands, so I'll be back soon, hopefully.